Okay, well, why don't we get started? Good evening, everyone. I will call the meeting to order. Could I have a motion for the adoption of remote participation?
So moved as written in the agenda.
Okay, here, a motion in a second. Pam Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Ford Spalding Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuhlen Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucasto, yes. Steve's having trouble with the Zoom link. It isn't working for him.
Oh, and it looks like,
There he is.
Yes.
we'll note that Steve just joined. Steve, we did adoption of remote participation. Excuse me, Ed, have we received any public comment for tonight's meeting?
No.
Okay, peers report. I think the one thing I want to just update people on is that the transition committee will be having our first meeting tomorrow with Dr. Dawson. So again, just wanted to make sure everyone was aware. Does anyone have anything for the good of the organization? Nope. Okay, let's move on to the school report. George and Katie.
Hey, first up for tonight, we need approval for an out-of-state field trip for the culinary and environmental students to go to Salt and Stall Farm in Stratton, New Hampshire on June 13th. So this trip is a culmination of a project on sustainability between the two shops working together.
Okay, I will move to approve this
Questions?
field trip as presented.
Second,
Any discussion? Yeah,
For historic reasons, I'm going to ask if this field trip and all the others are in complete compliance with the rules and regulations and policies of the school committee.
110
Yes.
in compliance.
110%. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
okay, anything else? Okay, let's do our roll call. Pam Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve, you're up.
Oh, I didn't know Dave was not here. Okay,
No, he's not.
sorry. Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuhlen Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucasto, yes.
Okay, next.
We have another out-of-state field trip for the horticulture students to the Blythewood Gardens and I can't get it out of my mouth. Arboretum on May 20th and the 24th. May 24th, they'll take two different groups on those different days. The objective is for them to experience a country place with the gardens, to get a guided tour, and really the real emphasis is the rare and unusual plants that they have there at the greenhouses for them to see, and some of the unique stonework.
I will move to approve the field trip to the Blythewood Gardens and Arboretum on May 20th as presented, and May 24th for the sophomores and seniors.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion.
Nope.
Okay.
Only if I can go. That's one of the.
Right, I know. Not always, right? Pam Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve,
Concord,
Steve's frozen. Ford Spalding Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuhlen Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucasto, yes.
okay. Next field trip.
Yep, the next one is the
did
approval.
my vote?
Oh, I think we,
You
why don't
froze.
you do it, Steve? Do it again.
Steve Ledoux, Concord. I've been in Carlisle too long. I'm used to IT failures lately, so doesn't surprise me.
Ouch.
Okay. Okay, Katie.
All right, so the next one is the approval of the out-of-state field trip for the Minuteman FFA chapter to the FFA Nationals in Indianapolis, Indiana on October 26th to the 29th, 2022. There is a possibility that they might have to go a day earlier for setup on the 25th. Although the trip is on until October, we do need to book the lodging for the students in May. We anticipate there'll be 5 students and 2 chaperones on the trip.
I will move to approve the FFA National Conference event in Indianapolis in October as presented.
Second,
Discussion, Jeff.
What are the financial implications of this trip? And are there any students who cannot afford to go who should be going?
Sure. So they'll know more about the actual finances once we get lodging and plane tickets booked. In the past, we have had fundraisers and students are able to apply for scholarships to go.
Anything else? Okay, let's vote. Pam Nurse Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding, Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Sula Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucas, Joe, yes.
Okay.
So the next one is the approval of the out-of-state trip to the Skills USA for the national competition in Atlanta, Georgia, which is June 20th through the 25th. So Skills USA has its state competition in April. So we're going to learn of the students that are heading to nationals in early May because there's an awards assembly May 13th. The registration for nationals will open up on May 9th. And again, they'll take place in June. And it's going to be depending on the state results, which we'll find out how many students we're going to be sending and how many chaperones. So the exact number is still to be determined.
And I will approve the out-of-state field trip to the Skills USA National Championship in Atlanta, Georgia on June 20th to 25th as presented.
Second,
I like this putting nationals on the calendar in advance. It's real confidence.
Yes.
I just want to point out in a positive manner that our agendas get much longer when we're in the building and we have to do things like vote on field trips.
Yeah. Isn't it nice though?
It's nice that the kids are going places.
Yeah.
Okay, let's vote. Pam Nurse Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding, Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stula Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucas, Joe, yes.
Okay, school calendar.
And we need to vote on the school calendar. The calendar was created by a group of administrators in a rough draft form, which was then sent to the school council that gave some input. And then ultimately, finally, the union officers took a look and they have approved it. So now it's up for your approval.
I will move to approve the school calendar as presented.
Second,
Discussion. Any questions, Judy?
I just really thought it was a nice touch that the showcase day is before Veterans Day, which makes it a very long weekend. So enjoy. Well done.
Okay, anything else? Okay, Pam Nurse Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding, Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stula Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucas, Joe, yes.
Okay. Community service events.
Sure, I just want to highlight that the Interact Community Service Club is very active. A couple weekends ago, we sent some kids out to the polar plunge to eradicate polio. Blech, there's a mouthful. We sent almost 30 kids up there to Gloucester. They all jumped in the water. They're insane, but they had a good time. They raised some good money. They've also did a light the night, which was a walk-a-thon basically around our track right there at Minuteman. to raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So they've been active on that front. We have I'd like to highlight, we have a Minuteman in Motion activity that's kicking up here. The goal of that group is to get kids who may not necessarily be, athletes, but who want to get out and get exercise. So it's really just all about walking along the track, walking around the school grounds. We do have the right personnel in place. So if kids do want to do something a little more intense for a workout, we can offer that. And Chef Anita has also offered as part of this to teach healthy cooking. So the idea would be the kids would walk around the track for a little while, and then she'll talk about nutrition and then teach them how to cook something that's very nutritious. So we're getting that off the ground now. We're trying to get, our plan is to get faculty involved in this as well. So we can just have a general emphasis on wellness throughout the community.
Okay, any questions on any of them? Very impressive.
So the next section, an update on the Top Chef competition. So on March 30th, Minuteman held its 9th annual Top Chef competition for seniors in culinary arts and hospitality at the district restaurant. All the students did a great job and the scores were the closest they've ever been. Our first place winner was Sam Zachary of Lexington, who made a vegan chickpea tiki marsala for an entree with avocado chocolate mousse for dessert. So he was the first place winner. He won $200. The second place entree winner was Colin Leinhart of Weston. He won $75 for his barley and shrimp bowl. Second place dessert winner and third place entree winner was Max Allers of Arlington. He won $125 for his filet mignon and oatmeal crepe. The third place dessert winner was Corrine Valerie of Belmont. She won $50 for her poached pear. And Danielise Caladron of Needham received $20 in the superintendent's prize for her shrimp taco. The students presented Dr. B with an honorary plaque for being a Top Chef judge for the past 9 years.
Very nice.
It doesn't
I
sound like
also-
it was a huge issue.
They didn't have trouble finding judges, I'll tell you that.
Is it true that those platters are going to be delivered to all school committee members later tonight?
I did not hear that rumor, but maybe.
Ford.
Yeah, if I could just jump in, I had the opportunity of being there, just because I'm fascinated with what the culinary students do, and they do an unbelievable job. The other two judges were, we had Victor Woodruff was there, and I did have the opportunity to ask him. He's very thin and fit, and I said, you keep eating like this, and that might change. But he was great, and the other one was Chef Jason Cohen from Pine Brook Country Club. I guess he's an alumnus. I don't know when he graduated, but the judges were great. The two of them are on with us tonight, but the kids. I'm just amazed at what they do. It just blows me away. I did, they let me go in the kitchen and have taste some of the things. It was pretty darn good. So they did a good job.
And I just wanted to provide a quick update on WOW as well. WOW is our World of Work program that we're having over April vacation. It's going to happen Tuesday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. We are full at 112 middle school students. We're going to have 8 groups of 14 students. They're all from in-district towns except for Dover. We have 8 CTE majors that are going to be highlighted: electrical, carpentry, programming and web, horticulture, Cosmo, culinary, engineering, and DBC. And that program is going to follow the RISIC model, which focuses on students, their skills and interests being realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. So that will happen over April break. So it's just an additional.
You want to say how many kids applied to be in the WOW?
No, because it's sad. We had 350 kids apply to come, and we only had 112 spots.
Wow.
So it's definitely something we're going to look at for next year, possibly offering it more frequently or to increase the size even more.
That's actually very, but the level of interest is, really quite extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a wow.
Yeah. Alice?
And it's on the vacation, right?
It is, yep.
That is incredible. I
Well, it
mean,
makes it a vacation for the parents too.
no, but there's a lot going on in that fact. I just think that's very interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, next
Brainstorm,
up, at
somebody-
long last, we were finally able to use the theater this weekend. The kids put on a production of Brainstorm, which is the inside life of the teenage mind. If you got a chance to see it, I can tell you that they showcased every bit of technology in that theater that will rival, what they put on will rival a show you'd see anywhere in Boston, no doubt. Between the video screens, the lighting, the fog machines, it was just amazing what they put together. And it was really great. I think it's fitting that the kids who probably suffered the most through this pandemic were the first group to really get our theater back up online and get us back to normal. And if you see the show, it's really gave the kids a chance to really talk about some of the angst and the issues that they deal with in this modern era. And it was just really a fascinating sociological look, psychological look as well into what kids are thinking. Great show. I'll tell you a little story. On Saturday night, the second act, they got a little aggressive with the fog machine, and it set off the fire alarm. Good news, everything worked perfectly in that theater in terms of the lighting went on, the exit signs, all that stuff. A fire protective curtain fell down, onto the stage. It was great. The kids were great. They handled it fine. The crowd seemed to take it in stride and went right back in. The fire department was great when they responded. Really nice with the kids. Took a photo in front of the fire truck and the whole thing. So theater is back. It's alive and well. Given the amount of freshmen and sophomores, the future is bright.
Gotta wear shades.
Okay, Ford.
I didn't go Saturday night when the excitement was, but I did go Friday night, and I wanted to go. I remember when we were building the building, and Ed, you really were very serious about wanting to have a theater, and the theater was unbelievable. Blew me away. From a high school point of view, I've never seen anything like it. The theater has so much to do with it, but sitting right behind me were 3 students who were operating the whole thing. I mean, and I think they were sophomores, or at least 1 or 2 were. They were just fantastic. The sound, I didn't see any lavaliers on the kids. I don't know where all the mics were, but I think they were all up above. But the sound was perfect. The kids were great. I did think I now understand the brain of kids in high school and middle school. Because what they came, I had some nightmares thinking about some of the things they were talking about, but a lot of empathy. The kids just did a great job. But I also want to say, I guess Greg Donovan has been a part of this for a long time from the English department, and his leadership was shown, and Drew O'Connor with the technical, as well as Cindy Judge. Did I understand it's filmed, George? Are you saying that people could see it?
Oh, no, I don't. They took a lot of photos before and after, but we didn't film.
Okay. Next time there's a theater performance, please go. It's in that theater. It's well worth it. And Friday night, I believe all the seats were taken. A lot of kids, a lot of teachers. I saw a lot of faculty members there Friday, which was terrific. Very inviting. It was a great feeling. So congratulations to all the kids, and that was a great thing we put in that theater. It's very worthwhile.
Thanks, Ford. Jeff.
I'd just like to ask Ed, has the new theater met your expectations for what it was to be?
From a training and for what it means to the kids, absolutely. It's exceeded my expectations. And as we have just begun to be able to utilize the theater. From a community point of view, it's starting to realize my expectations. You know, next week or the week after, I think we have the Arlington Youth Theater coming in to utilize the facility. And so that exchange with our member towns, it's just starting. But when I walk in there and I look around and I show people, you know, I'm just really, I'm kind of humbled and grateful for what we have, because it far exceeds anything any high school has. And in many cases, it exceeds what any post-secondary institution would have. And in many cases, it exceeds what professional theater companies have. So yeah, we're at the top of the heap when it comes to the theater. And I'm really proud and grateful for that.
It looked great in the photographs. I can't say that I was there like Ford was, but the three kids who were behind those consoles there, running the lights, the sound, the cues, everything else, that's a professional board. I mean, that is absolutely a professional board running the house, and these kids are getting top of the line experience at it.
It's just been so long since the first idea of it.
Yeah.
And now the first performance of it, right? That's been a long, long delayed time. And again, very grateful, just like with the fields. Long delayed, a lot of waiting, and here it is. And congratulations. What an accomplishment.
Yeah, to us all.
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning that in the script, the kids wrote about 85% of what was shown. And that's a testament to Greg Donovan, to really working with those kids, that it's not just simply memorizing a script and going. He really, it's almost like a theater class, you know, as a drama club. And all that special effects you're talking about, you're absolutely right. But I talked with Drew and he said, you know, there's one, you know, this is all geeky stuff to me, but there's one sequence where there's 90 different lights, you know, changes, and the kids created that themselves. Once they understood like how the thing worked, they're the ones who decided purple, yellow, up, down, left, right, you know, all that kind of stuff. They're the ones who did it all. So it's really, it's amazing.
So the next item is the Barbecue Institute for Ryan's Wish. So it's a barbecue fundraiser for scholarships, which is tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 5:30 to 7 p.m. in the district restaurant at Minuteman. Again, it's going to benefit scholarships. There's phone reservations are required for both dinner and lunch service tomorrow. The tickets are $20. Dr. B held his 15th Barbecue Institute with the culinary arts students starting today, teaching them the techniques of how to prepare and serve barbecue. The menu will be smoked brisket, pulled pork, ribs, and chicken combination. All plates come with vinegar, slaw, macaroni and cheese, baked beans, sauces, desserts, and a beverage.
Order the brisket.
Wow.
If he says so, I will. And lastly, we have a
Still
design and
cooking.
visual art exhibit that happened today at Revolutionary Hall from 5 to 7. It's probably wrapping up right now, and we might have more information for you about that at our next school committee meeting to tell you how it all kind of played out.
Okay. Is that it? Very inspiring report. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, George. Okay, Superintendent's Report. So Ed or Ford?
Why don't I just start and I'll turn it over to Ed. MSBA project is no change since our last meeting. Athletic fields, they're playing baseball on the fields. They're renting baseball to a college in Boston. They are playing softball in the fields. And when you drive by during the day, you'll see students in there, I guess it's physical education class, out using it. So it's being used. There's still some cleanup to do, and they're working on that. They're going to spread out the loam and plant the grass. That still needs to be done. So there's basically some cleanup chores over the next 2 or 3 weeks. But the important part is the students can use it. And I did talk to one of the coaches of baseball, and the kids just absolutely love the field. So that's another home run, Ed, for our school. In the north building, we've submitted our permit request to Lincoln. That's going, actually, from what I hear, a little smoothly. And they're planning more on that. So that's where in a planning stage. And the East Campus update, I'm going to turn over to our superintendent.
Thanks, Ford. So there's a vote on the agenda, and let me just give you some background to it. You may recall that in 2018, we had special legislation that was passed for Minuteman to give the district flexibility, whether to sell property or lease property. But some of the requirements for Chapter 30B still apply, including a requirement that the district, directly from 30B, declare the property available for disposition, which means lease or sale, and specify the restrictions, if any, that it will place on the subsequent vote. So this vote declares that that East Campus building is available for lease. We are working with Goldstein and Stores, who are the company that we, or the lawyer firm that we used back in 2015, to try to help us understand what a public-private partnership needs to look like. And then again, we worked with them in 2017, 18, leading up to the special legislation that was passed, you know, in large part due to Jay Kaufman and Cindy Friedman. So that's what the vote require. That's why the vote is being, Peter, one of the attorneys there said that you really need to have the school committee clearly declare that this property is available for lease. And that's what this vote is about.
So I will vote to declare that the East Campus building and grounds available for disposition for lease as described in the request for information dated February 9th, 2022, and legislation House 4503 enacted July 25th, 2018, authorizing the district to do so.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so we move to discussion. Alice.
I want to understand the last part of that, which says authorizing the district to do so. What does that mean? To do what?
To lease or sell. To do so as described in House Bill 4503.
We can sell it based on that?
You could do whatever you'd like, but
I don't remember. Okay. I
It
just,
doesn't-
I thought I could.
It doesn't say sell in this motion.
no, but Chapter 30B does say that. This is just to make sure that we're complying with 30B. You know, there's a few months to go. If the school committee under a new superintendent decides to sell something, they have the opportunity to sell it. If you have the opportunity to lease it, which is what we intend to do, this motion provides for that opportunity as well.
This motion
really
just says lease. I don't see that it says sell anywhere.
Can I also say it also? Go ahead.
The word disposition is in there. So,
It says disposition for lease.
yeah.
Can I jump in? This is given to us by our attorneys. You know, we've gone to Goldstein Stores for legal advice. This is step one in our process of doing this. And this was the language that they gave to us to use. You know, we could ask them to come and join the meeting at some point, but you don't want to pay their bill to do that. I think this is purely step one, advice of our counsel. We need to do this according to the law and according to counsel. And so I recommend that we move ahead on it and not hold up the process.
I actually have a question. I'm going to jump in. It also says available for disposition as for lease as described in the request for information. So am I right to assume if we wanted to do anything outside of what was in the RFI, we would have to come back with probably a different vote. Is that correct? That this only covers what was described, which was leasing in the RFI, or am I reading that wrong?
Yeah, I think you're correct. The attorneys wanted us to reference the RFI and the special legislation in one vote. Yeah.
Jeff, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, we have no intention of selling it. This is just to lease it with them. So leasing is fine. I know that we have the ability to sell it or lease it. That's fine. And that legislation allows us to do both. But for our purposes here, we only want to lease it. So having it just say lease here actually makes me happy.
That's correct.
It says our intention. So I'm all set with this language if the attorneys have approved it.
Alice.
So I have a second question, which is right before the vote, it says review draft memorandum of understanding, and we didn't. So I want to understand how the vote relates to the draft memorandum of understanding.
Well, it doesn't. We're going to review the memorandum of understanding after we have a place to discuss it. That's just where it got set in the agenda.
So can I just want to follow up on that to be clear. So this vote has nothing to do with kind of approving the MOU. Is that correct? They're two separate issues. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Jennifer.
So what's in the packet is House 4503, which says an act authorizing the Minuteman Regional Vocational Technical School District to lease certain land and buildings. It doesn't say anything about selling them. Is that somewhere else?
No.
So,
I mean, maybe it's moot. I
All we're doing is just lease. If the school
I know,
committee
but
decides it wants to sell it, a future school committee probably could, but all we're talking
but
about.
it's not in the special legislation.
Nope.
Selling it is not included. So I think we're stuck with leasing no matter what. We'd have to get new special legislation to sell it anyway. So I think it becomes a moot point.
Correct.
Well,
okay.
It is a moot point. The school committee can decide at any point in time to sell anything you want to if you declare it surplus.
Right.
This is a little bit different language based upon the language in 30B, where you're making it available for disposition.
Okay.
And disposition could mean leasing or selling.
But not the way it's written. It says disposition for lease as described. And there's nothing in any of the documents that say sell.
That's correct.
So that is very, very confusing.
So is it fair to say that selling right now is a bit of a red herring because it's not included in the legislation, it's not included in the RFI, and that the only thing that this vote would cover is leasing?
That's right.
Okay. If at some point, let me just take this like one step further, since the issue has come up and we were talking about it. So if the school committee decided that, you know what, we want to sell that building. I'm not saying we do, I'm just saying, what if we decided that we want to sell that building? Would we be able to do that? Would we need new special legislation?
So, let me try to help here.
Thank you.
If you look at the language in 30B, it says disposition means the lease or sale of. That's the state's language, not ours, nor our intent.
Yeah.
If the school committee had a different intent, they would have to go through a different process.
Okay, so for these purpose, we are talking about disposition for lease as described in the February 9th RFR.
Correct.
Okay. Other questions? And Alice, want to make sure, does that answer your question or concern?
Yeah, as long as we're clear that it's just for leasing and that it is unrelated to the memorandum of understanding draft that was in the packet.
Right. Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, are we ready to vote? It looks that way. Pam Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuland Needham, yes.
Alice DeLuca Stowe, yes.
So the draft MOU in your packet is there for your review. The process that the attorneys have advised us to follow is kind of the same pathway as they advised us back when we were thinking we would be working with the town of Lexington. In that the RFI was an opportunity for folks who might be interested in being in partnership with Minuteman to ask us questions. So in this process, the RFI didn't yield too many voluntary, unsolicited requests for information. So the only folks that have really shown up in terms of wanting to be in partnership with Minuteman is the Boston Veterinary Clinic. And Goldstein and Stores is helping us draft a MOU that aligns with 30B, that aligns with the legislation, and that aligns with some of the, the framework of the request for information. There were some questions sent to me this afternoon about Boston Vet Clinic, which I forwarded to the two principals of Boston Vet Clinic, and they're happy to come to provide that additional information sooner than later. And the MOU really just outlines the next set of sort of agreements that need to be made. The big one after the MOU is the lease agreement. And the lease agreement is what specifies how the construction would be done, who pays for what, and then the second agreement is the clinical site agreement, which is similar to what we have with other organizations in the area where our students are part of a clinical site work-based learning experience. And that's a whole different set of regulations that we have to comply with. So the MOU just keeps the process moving with BBC. Goldstein and Stores told us that we may have to, I guess, advertise or post the fact that we're moving forward with BBC and give anyone who might have wanted to be part of the RFI an opportunity to ask us questions. So I'm not asking for a vote on the MOU at all. I'm just asking you to review it as BBC is reviewing it, and we'll move forward from there.
And will you want the school committee to approve this at some point? Or are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to make sure. Okay. Alice.
I'm just, so people know, I'm the person who, one of the people anyway, who sent questions, and my questions relate to the standard sort of business due diligence that you do with a partner, where you get certain information about the prospective partner. And I think we need that background information. We know that their educational viewpoints and so forth are aligned with Minuteman from what Dr. B says, but we also need to understand more about their position and their stability and so forth before we would enter into any kind of long-term business arrangement. And so I requested that kind of background information. And I'm happy to hear, as Pam clarified, that we would we're not approving this tonight, but that we would be asked to approve it eventually if it were going forward. I think it's important for the school committee as the oversight board to be appropriately detailed in review of that type of thing.
Any other comments or questions?
If I may, Pam?
Yes, please.
You may not recognize BVC or Boston Veterinary Clinic, but this is the public-facing clinic service operated by the Animal Rescue League of Boston, which has been in business well over a century on presently on Chandler Street in the south end of Boston. They're right next door to the adoption clinic, and they have a long and deep reputation worldwide in pushing forward animal science, animal veterinary science, and translating that to the local community and to the world. So I think they are an excellent partner to have in mind.
Any other questions or comments on related to the MOU or regarding a review of it?
I'm just, Madam Chair, I may ask for a special meeting if in fact this needs to move forward, because frankly, the opportunity within the special legislation, we've never had this opportunity before. And if it all works out and everything's approved, we could have this up and running by the fall of 2023.
Okay, so if that's needed, I'm assuming Julia will poll us for dates.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Town meetings are coming up. We've had a few town meetings. Our budget is being well received, although, and I've got to say that a lot of folks that are involved with Minuteman, either on the liaison to the FinCom or whatever, they've done a great job of, kind of supporting the story that we've been trying to tell. And that is simply, we have a lot fewer out of district kids, a lot more in district kids. That changes the paradigm that Minuteman has been in for 40 years. So our budgets are beginning passed by unanimous margins, if not. So I know next Monday or the second or third Monday in May, there's a lot of town meetings. Still trying to figure out when Arlington wants to be there, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 town meetings in between May 1st and May 3rd. So by the time we have another school committee meeting, we'll probably have a budget. So, yep. That's it.
okay, thank you. Moving on to finance report. Richard?
You want me to give a report on the committee? You want Rich to do his thing? It's kind of thing, actually.
Why don't you give a report on the committee, and then Rich can move into the details here.
Okay, well, we met a week ago Monday, and the first two items on the for items to consider for the finance report, the finance committee recommend. We also looked at the budget for the revolving funds for FY23, and that was pretty much it. So I can turn it over to Rich, I guess.
Thank you, Steve.
There.
First of all, we'd like to present you with a vote to authorize $650,000 from Certified Excess and Deficiency Fund to reduce member towns and assessment for FY23 budget. The reason why this is being brought to you again, you voted it this number already, but it wasn't certified. We have now been told by our auditors that we have a certified number and we must re-vote this. This was voted earlier this year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Pam Acton, yes. I think you said yes. Michael, you're on mute.
Yes, I did.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuland Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucas, Joe, yes.
The next item on the finance is the notification that the retirement board will be meeting on April 28th. They will be voting to considering and vote to whether to grant a COLA of up to 3% for the first 14,000 of the retirement allowance of eligible retirees of the system. Again, this is just notification that this is actually in accordance to the retirement law, Master General Law 32, and which the Minuteman Retirement Board adheres to. So this is something that they do on an annual basis, and it's no more than 3% of the first, and only on the first 14,000.
Any questions?
And we'd authorized it, excuse me, we'd authorized, I think at a prior meeting, to raise from 13,000 to 14,000 as the kind of the limit of that. I think it was the
Correct.
last meeting perhaps.
Correct.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you. The next is request to dispose of surplus property. In the packet, you found 2 pages of books that have been, were in the program in web development. They are out of date, no longer current with today's technology. So we're asking you to vote to dispose of these items.
So moved.
Second,
any discussion? Pam Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuland Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucas, Joe, yes.
Thank you. And lastly, asking you to vote to approve the monthly list of donations. This month, we have a donation from Benchmark Senior Living out of Arlington. They provided us with additional PPE, lab coats, goggles, culinary uniforms, all of which can be utilized in our vocational trades.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Second,
Discussion? Okay, Pam Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuland Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucas, Joe, yes.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to committee reports. The Superintendent Negotiation and Evaluation Committee.
Yes, this was a swift kick in my butt because we do need to do an evaluation for Ed in his last year. So I have talked to Dan. He is going to be working on the executive summary. I'm hoping we have something for the next school committee meeting. My plan is to have something we can look at, present by the June meeting, and then I will submit that to Desi. We don't need to have executive session. We don't need to vote on anything because there's no need for a increase in any salary or anything like that. But we still need to finish the evaluation. I got lost in the other contract, sorry.
Okay. Any questions for Jennifer? Okay, thank you very much. I do not believe we have minutes for tonight. Is that right?
No, we're a little behind.
Okay, we will have minutes for the next meeting. Okay, we need a motion to enter executive session. I'll read the motion to enter executive session, not return to open session for the following reasons pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 28(3), to discuss strategy with respect to likely litigation with the town of Lincoln regarding permit fees. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. And 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel namely Dr. Edward McQuillan, Superintendent Director. And it's, yes, not to return to open session. And with us will be Julia, Ed, and our attorneys. I know Joshua Coleman will be here. I don't know, will Peter Sumner be with us?
So there's no information regarding the, no new information regarding the Lincoln litigation, so I will not be joining you in executive session.
Okay, so it'll be Julia and Joshua Coleman.
So do we want to just reduce that motion just to include the second? Since we won't be discussing the litigation with Lincoln?
So just for the second reason to conduct strategy sessions.
I will move that.
Second.
Okay. Let's do our roll call. Pam Nurse-Acton, yes.
Michael Ruderman, Arlington, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Ford Spalding, Dover, yes.
Jennifer Leonie Lancaster, yes.
Judy Crocker, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuland Needham, yes.
Alice DeLucas, yes.
And Julia sent out another Zoom link, so we will leave this Zoom link and I will meet you on the other Zoom.
Pam? I mean, Josh isn't on yet, so I don't know what we're going to do till he gets on because we really need him.
I will, in the meantime, contact him and find out where he is or how long he will be.
Okay.
Right. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy opening day.
Oh, and thank you, Julia. Okay, so we'll see you on the other Zoom.